So today took 3 trades, 2 break-even trades and 1 winner. And left money on the table, low efficiency day, over trading day. It was kind of an over trading day because that shouldn't have happened. But yeah, so on Friday there's a nice rally up at the end of the day. However, the value area was still lower. And so was CPR, but the cams were overlapping higher. So most the pivot relationship here was bearish, but the open after yesterday and Friday's rally up, the government shutdown ended and started rallying up overnight and opened above value, opened above range, and above H3 and R1. So the nearest levels I had was R1 and H3, and then fair value gap here, and yesterday high. And then there was a supply zone up here that I did like, the 2-hour supply and another 2-hour supply. So there was that as a short, but since the open was very bullish, I was more geared towards longing this. But the supply zone was the nearest level for me. So I said, big rally, opening above R1, H3 range and value. I would like to long a dip into R1H3 or FEG, but there is also a supply up above H4, so perhaps something to keep an eye on, but not too confident in that. So I had that supply short in there. I had the H4 long, but that was only if market opened above H4, which it didn't, so that was out the window. And then there was this fair value gap long and R1 H3 long. So somewhere over here between 67.98 and 85, and then somewhere here at 67.62 to about 30, or 62 to 72. So that was mainly the plan. What actually happened though? I would say my plan eventually did work out. So I took the short as planned, and then I got scared out of this position, and then took the opposite side, and then I reverted back to my original plan. So this one should have never happened, but it did, and this one, it should have just been one trade, honestly. So I tried to get in as close to what I originally entered at, and it ended up working out. So market initially opens up, and it rallies. It's a pretty big rally, and now it's above H4, and it seems like there's lots of buying imbalances, all that good jazz. So initially there is this delta divergence here. Bullish delta divergence. So on a rally up, this could be a pullback that I could long. I thought about it, but there was also a hidden divergence bearish. So it was making higher highs on delta, but not really on price. But then it ended up catching up. I was looking at the supply zone. Now we're inside the supply zone at about 69.29, which I said I might short at, but I'm not confident in that. So if there were great confirmations, I would try it out, but I wasn't too confident. So now it's solidly inside the supply zone here, and then I'm trying to see if there is any sort of short confirmations. So I first see this 1 minute delta divergence here, and then the hidden divergence where delta broke highs but price didn't, and so I'm looking for a retest back in. There's also a POC at the top here with the P shape, which I did like, but then eventually the POC came down, so I didn't quite know about that either. And then it started bouncing and forming another delta divergence here, which I thought was a good place to long a pullback. So I'm kind of going back and forth between longs and shorts, even though it's inside the supply zone, because the dips seem to be getting bought. But now I see that is forming kind of a P-shape here with a huge delta divergence over here, which it doesn't end up as a delta divergence, but it was still a P-shape. So I did like that. I think that also was making a CVD hidden divergence here, broke highs up here, but it's wicking all the way on each candle here. And then the sellers came in. So now there's selling imbalances over here. There is also a delta divergence, another one, because technically this one is also a delta divergence on the 2 minute. And so I thought about just entering here. And there's another test up into that area, and then a sell-off with a 2 minute delta divergence. So I liked that. On the candles here too, I saw this 1 minute basing, this 1 minute high volume shooting star. Also on the 5 minute it was a high volume shooting star, and on the 3 minute it was a high volume shooting star. So I liked all of those. And I'm just looking for a little bit of a retest back and making sure that it doesn't bounce at this area where it previously bounced. And also this is that high volume node. It's kind of forming a node over here, so I didn't want it to bounce over here, because I was expecting a move back down into this area. So then I see this CVD hidden divergence where it's breaking highs, but not over here, and so I enter short one contract. That was kind of the final confirmation I needed. I try to short around here with a stop up here at the highs, expecting that it will break under here. So now I'm in short. It's kind of working out, but it forms a B shape here, right at this ledge of the high volume node, which I don't like. 2 minute delta divergence also. Another thing I don't like. Tests that B shape again, breaks it slightly, and then comes back up and rallies. So now I'm getting very nervous, and I don't like this at all, because that's exactly where I didn't want it to bounce. So I get out at break even here, which it didn't hit 2R, it didn't hit my stop loss, so technically I did not follow my trade management rules there, and I just got scared out of that one. And then I reversed my position and enter long. So it's that whole idea of this high volume node ledge with that B shape here and the POC of the lows. And on the 5 minute also, it was kind of forming this very big high volume hammer right after that high volume shooting star. And I thought it was a decent location. The open was above all the significant levels, yesterday's range, or Friday's range and Friday's value. So I didn't like that for shorts either. But then it never hits my stop loss and starts coming down, and I start regretting exiting my short, especially when the buyers seem kind of weak and aggressive selling comes in. But it basically consolidates here for a long time. And I also don't like it for shorts because I don't like it consolidating inside the supply zone for a long time. But basically I was up about 6 points here, and then right at the high of day, it forms a delta divergence and starts coming down aggressively. So I adjust my stop to break even here, because my original plan was to short at supply, and so I try to get in short again, as close to my original entry as possible. It was a tick off, but it was pretty much the same. So then it sells off and bounces again. At this point, I'm like, okay, well, that's it, right? Because it formed a higher low, and now it's going to rally up. And I almost stopped out before my stop loss here. So it technically hit my stop loss, which was at 35 3/4, and it goes and hits 35 3/4 exactly. But I am on micros here, so maybe it was a little different on the micros. But since it hit my stop loss technically, but I was still in the position, I was about to close the position entirely, because might as well save 2 points or something. But I just followed my rules and let it stop me out by itself. And it actually didn't. Formed another delta divergence here, and then started selling off. So I kind of lucked out there by not getting stopped out, even though it hit my stop loss. And it went down and hit my target here. And it actually sold off for another, I don't know, what is that, 20 points or so. So the thesis of shorting off the supply was right. It just consolidated here for a very long time before selling off. This one I should not have taken, but luckily got that. I got out of that at break even also. So should have just taken this one and held it until target. But kind of got lucky on that, not hitting that stop loss.